Alright, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. Can you believe that we're just 4 days away from the 2023 Mr. Olympia this weekend? And we've got a lot of updates to talk about from a lot of the competitors in both bodybuilding and classic physique, but the first guy that I want to talk about today was Regan Grimes. So he posted this update on Instagram, as well as a series of posing videos on his YouTube channel. But let's start with the Instagram picture because this was labeled as 4 days out, and the video on his YouTube is 5 days out. So what are we looking for from Regan Grimes at this year's Mr. Olympia? Number one, I think a lot of Regan fans are just looking for him to finally crack that top 10 and be somewhere near the conversation and closer to the conversation of a top 6, a first or second call out, than being close to last place. I don't think anybody has unrealistic expectations for Regan to be like immediately one of the top 5 guys, but the fact of the matter is he did prove that he did what he was trying to do. He proved that he came in bigger. He put on size. He made improvements. He was able to win a show. He was able to beat Nathan Diasha. He was able to qualify for the Olympia, not on points, but on a professional victory, which is a big deal. And he did that with a bigger physique than he usually has. So when you look at this picture on his Instagram, when you look at updates like this, and you see these striated glutes, hamstrings, the detail in the back, when you look at the posing video that he put on YouTube, and you can see that now he has those striations in the chest that he didn't really have at those past couple shows that he did. You can see some detail in the shoulders, the arms, the upper body from the front that you didn't really see at the shows that he did earlier in the season. So the question for me this year, when it comes to Regan Grimes, is not will he be big enough? I think he will be. But the question is, can he bring added size and really, really competitive Olympia caliber conditioning that's going to possibly get him in the top 10? That's what I'm looking for from Regan, and I think that would be a victory for him, is just to crack the top 10. Even if he's 10th place at the Olympia this year, that would be a huge victory for him. I'm not looking at him as a top 6 guy. I'm not looking at him as a potential winner of the Olympia, but I'm looking at him as a guy. He's big, he's tall, he's got great lines, a really nice structure, he's put on size. If he comes in really good condition, I think he could be closer to the mix than he has in years past. And that's really the expectation that I have for Regan this year. Would be a top 10 finish would be phenomenal for him. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Where do you think Regan will place at this year's Open Olympia? Now, speaking of Regan Grimes, I had to include this because enough people sent me this picture and we're laughing at this picture of Michael Krizo and Regan Grimes, both in Florida getting ready for the Olympia. A lot of people pointing out that as big as Regan is, he's tall, he's put on size. Michael Krizo still, in this photo, is able to significantly out-angle him, just days away from stepping on stage, where they both should really be pretty emaciated and not in prime out-angling mode. They should be pretty flat here. But a lot of people, yet again, pointing out the mass monster factor of Michael Krizo, looking gigantic even next to a guy like Regan, that, trust me, is no small guy. He's a pretty big dude, pretty tall for a bodybuilder, really wide shoulders, really wide lats, just a big guy all around. And Michael Krizo looking twice as thick as him in this picture. Even though all you can see is their forearms in this picture, look at the size of Krizo's forearm compared to Regan's. Krizo he really is a monstrous dude. And I will do a prediction video probably tomorrow, but I stand by what I said. I do think this will be the year that Krizo cracks the top 10. I do think he will be in that conversation. But we haven't really gotten any real recent physique updates from Krizo showing off what he actually looks like. And honestly, a lot of the top guys in this past week or two have gotten pretty silent, and a lot of them have been, for weeks out, and we haven't seen much of them, like Andrew Jack, for example. Samson, Derek, Hottie, Nick. Brandon is really one of the only top guys that we've seen an update from this week. But anyway, let me know in the comments below where you think Michael Krizo will place at this year's Olympia. Now, next up in the news, Wesley Vissers, 6 days out from the Olympia. This posing video that he posted, obviously, we've seen Wesley compete very, very recently, so we know how he looks anyway. But this posing video, less than 1 week out from the Olympia. Now, the question for Wesley this year, I think is kind of similar to Regan, is I just want to see Wesley closer to the conversation. I don't know if he would be a first call-out or top 6 guy, but I would like to see him closer to that first call-out or top 6, just to get in better comparisons next to some of the guys that have been beating him in the past. And look, it's kind of a weird situation with Wesley because I think the fans almost universally agree that Wesley's physique is a fantastic embodiment of what it means to be classic. When you think of a golden era physique, you look at Wesley and that's what you see. But classic physique, just like bodybuilding, is very subjective, and the judges have kind of made it seem like they don't like Wesley's structure. Maybe they don't like his look because he's come in all kinds of different packages. He's come in shredded to the bone. He's come in a little bit fuller and a little less ripped. He's tried different things, but the only thing that has really stayed the same is his structure. He's improved his legs. He's added size where he needed to. He's, like I said, he's come in super ripped, best conditioning of his life multiple times. But nothing he does seems to be good enough to put him in that conversation as a top 6 guy. And it seems like at the end of the day, the judges just don't think his physique fits classic physique criteria the way that the guys that we typically see in that top 6 does. Now, to be fair, classic physique has a lot of competitors. There's usually like almost 40 competitors, right? 40, 50 at the classic physique Olympia. And Wesley is usually on the top end of that spectrum, like top 15. So it's not like he's getting totally robbed. It's not like he's completely out of the conversation and they're throwing him in, you know, like the last call out. And I mean, like last year, he was 8th, which was really good for him. That was a really high placing for him. But I still feel like some of the guys that beat him shouldn't have beaten him. And he's still kind of got that buffer between himself and the top 6. And honestly, he looked incredible last year. So hopefully we see him in the top 10 again this year. But hopefully, if he's like really on point, which he looks to be, if his conditioning is really good, obviously he's brought up his legs, which a lot of people have complained about with him. He looks good. If he's at his all-time best, I would like to see him crack that top 6. I just think that this year we have seen the best version of Wesley that we've ever seen. And if he brings a package like that to the Olympia, I'm just saying I hope that he gets rewarded, and I hope that we can see him battle finally with the top guys in this division. Not first or second call out. I want to see Wesley next to Chris and Terrence and Ramon and Urs. I want to see him in that mix. If he deserves to be there, I want to see him compared to those guys. And frankly, based on what we saw with Wesley and Terrence next to each other at that Dubai show, I think Wesley does deserve to be there. He does deserve those comparisons. And he did push Terrence, and Terrence is arguably at his all-time best. And he's a top 2 classic physique Olympian. I want to have an optimistic feeling towards Wesley when I'm watching the classic physique Olympia this year. I just have a feeling we're going to see him more in that mix, more in that conversation, better comparisons, better call-outs. I don't know where he's going to place, but I feel like he's going to fight his way into better comparisons and call-outs. So that brings me to my next and final story. So I'm even going to cover men's physique in this video because I have been so impressed by the updates that we've seen from Jeremy Buendia. Now, obviously, Jeremy is making a big comeback after a pretty significant hiatus from the men's physique Mr. Olympia. And the transformation that he's been able to make with his physique over the last about 2 years is pretty drastic and pretty significant. And arguably, he looks bigger, better, and more ripped now than he looked when he was winning the men's physique Olympia. So again, full transparency, I don't follow men's physique. I watch maybe 2-3 competitions of men's physique a year. The Arnold, the Olympia, and then sometimes just a random show if I get bored. And I could probably only name like 5 or 6 guys. Compared to with bodybuilding, I've watched every single pro show for almost a decade. I've watched hundreds and hundreds of bodybuilding pro shows. I've only probably watched a couple dozen men's physique shows. So take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. This Jeremy Buendia thing really intrigues me. Some people think he's got a really good chance of winning. Other people think he's got no shot. From what I've seen in the men's physique community, that's kind of the divide. I think, you know, when you look at a guy like Aaron Banks, really tall guy, really different structure from what Jeremy has. But Aaron just got beat right before the Olympia, which is very unusual, by a guy with a build more similar to Jeremy's, Chiron. So initially, I was thinking Jeremy's a little bit too muscular. He looks more like a men's physique guy. He looks like he's a little bit too stacked. He's shorter. He's not as aesthetic. The current standard, the current champion is Aaron Banks, and he's this tall, kind of a little bit lankier, broad shoulders, really small waist, but just a taller, just very different type of physique than what you see from Jeremy. So initially, I thought there's no chance that Jeremy's going to win, and then you saw Chiron beat Aaron Banks at the Legion show, and I think his physique and his structure is much more similar to Jeremy's, so now I'm kind of thinking maybe Jeremy does have a chance. So I'm not a big enough fan of men's physique to really have a super valid opinion on this, so I'm curious for you guys to let me know if you are a men's physique fan and you follow that division closely. Let me know in the comments below what you think of how Jeremy Buendia is looking, and what do you think his chances are of him winning another men's physique Olympia title. Do you think the standard for what the Olympia in men's physique requires has changed so much that maybe he doesn't have a chance, which I kind of think we're going to see him in classic physique if this year doesn't pan out in men's physique, because his lower body is actually pretty good too. But my question to the men's physique fans, do you think Jeremy has a chance, yes or no, why or why not? That's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already, and as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NICKS&P, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel, and consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look, and all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.